Good afternoon. I think the vision is there. Huh? It's been described very well by you before. So it just has to be implemented. I think the vision is very much to what we have in our 2050 goal of carbon neutrality for Europe. So reducing emissions, and at the same time getting better at actively taking the carbon out of the atmosphere. And I'm also a very big fan of this concept that we need climate positive value chains. That it's not just about taking the CO2 out of it and then dumping it in the empty oil and gas fields. Carbon will be such a valuable commodity, and we need to treat it then as sustainable as possible. And we need all sources of carbon that we then can get, because we'll still need carbon in the industry. We won't use fossil carbon anymore, but we need to get the carbon either technically from the atmosphere directly, or from biomass, as you described it, or from the waste streams. And then we need to use it as sustainably as possible. And there's the potential for the buildings. So, like one little thing that we are doing, that we are working on, or we are working on this certification methodologies for carbon removals. And one of them is carbon storage in buildings through biomaterials, but also mineralization. And so I would really love, within maybe the next 2 years, maybe to come to a certification methodology where we can say, okay, such a building is climate positive if we take everything together, the whole life cycle. And if we could then say, okay, like there's a social housing company, there's a real estate company, and then they can make a claim, okay, if you live with me, I offer you climate positive building. And then as we see here, and we see that not only with buildings, but also with cars and so on, the cost increase is minimal. We're talking about 1-2% of the final product. The same for cars, if you talk about a green car with green steel and so on. And we also need to tap into that financing. I think that's important. Also this idea of lead markets. And we need to bring that much closer to the consumers. When we talk about now climate action, it's often about the industry. And then the numbers look really huge, as you said. And it cannot only be the public budget to finance that, we also really need to get into the private finance. But of course, to starting it up, particularly also in the infrastructure, we need a new infrastructure of hydrogen, or to adapt the existing one. This, the same is true for CO2. We need the infrastructure investments. We need to support you to make this first of a kind investments. And there are large cost savings there when we talk about all the carbon capture and storage and use technologies. So, and this is why we are here with our emission trading system, with the Innovation Fund, where we want to finance those first of a kind project. And it's really impressive when we see the project pipeline, in particular also from your industry. We have many more, I think, with the last call of the Innovation Fund, we had 300-400 projects that are really top notch, and we could finance around, I think, 100 of them. So this really also shows the commitment of the European industry, which is very encouraging. So we need to think further with the new Commission. Is how can we better finance that scale up? So we are thinking about carbon contracts for difference, like what we've already done for hydrogen. So who can deliver a certain amount of CO2 removal, of CO2 capture at the lowest costs. Then we need to look into the review of the emission trading system. We already talked a bit about the challenges that are still there with carbon capture and use, so that we give the right incentive to rather use CO2 that is captured from a waste stream and not a virgin fossil fuel that we need to get clear. We need to integrate waste incinerators into the ETS to get to mobilize that source of carbon. We need to integrate carbon removals, bioenergy with CCS, direct air capture CCS within the ETS. and together with the funding that we can provide from the revenue, we hope that we can get closer to that business case, make it viable. And then, of course, everything we can also do, not because this is a lot on the supply side. We also need to work on demand side, as I've said, making it clear, maybe with labeling, what is really a sustainable product, what is a climate positive product, what is a climate neutral product. We're taking first steps there with the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive. We still have to negotiate the Green Claims Directive, which is for voluntary claims about climate neutrality at the company level. So we need to work on all of that instruments to make that happen. And of course, we need to make it happen quite quickly, because if you think about 2040, 2050, we don't have a lot of time. Thanks a lot.